Okay, our next speaker is from New York, New York. I heard his name. People are like, oh my gosh, this guy he's the man, he's a baller, he's a New Yorker, he's tough, he's smart, he's bright. And I'm like, well, we'll see, right? You hear a lot of stuff. Talk is cheap, we'll see. He brought his franchise. Well, he got out of his franchise. He didn't bring his franchise anywhere, you know what I mean? It's like changing a bad suit. And he was able to get out of that. Came to EXP, and he's just blown up his business in such a good way. Help me welcome to the stage Mr. Vincent Koo, everybody. Woo!
All right, day 3. Hey, the first time I heard Pat's story was at one of these events, and I took a picture of it and I sent it over to my wife, and I said, this guy retired his wife with revenue share income. Get ready, baby. And my wife Elaine's here with me today. Not retired yet, but we're on the way. So Brent, James, thanks for putting this event together. Fantastic, and appreciate all that we're learning in this room, but also appreciate the time that we get to enjoy Cabo as well. Glenn, thank you for putting this amazing model together and attracting the best people to it, attracting this incredible leadership team that keeps us pointed in the right direction and keeps us going at the right pace. The pace is so fun, isn't it? How many of you guys want to attract more franchises, attract more brokerages? Yes? You've all heard Brent say you don't own your franchise owns you, right? And you've heard stories of brokers say, we had to wait out of our franchise. We had to pay out of our franchise. We had to sell out of our franchise. We had to negotiate out of our franchise. I didn't have to do any of those things. I'm a second-generation broker, an SOB. My parents were... My parents had an independent brokerage for 17 years, and I pushed them to go towards a franchise. We joined a company called Exit Realty, and timing was right. We went from 1 office to 3 offices. We went from 18 agents to 338 children. Things were good, right? There was 58 offices in our region in New York, and we were number 1 office 12 years in a row, brokerage of the year. And we were number 2, second highest grossing multiple office operation for all of Exit Realty International. And I remember receiving these awards, and I remember the satisfaction being just brief and fleeting. I would always think, it's going to take so much more work to get the same result next year. And I kept asking myself these questions. I kept saying, how many offices will I need to take that number 1 spot? See, the number 1 highest grossing office had 7 locations. I didn't want 7 locations. I didn't want that headache. Our production increased every year, our agent count increased every year, our revenue increased every year, but we never got it to a point where our bottom line was, that we were happy with our bottom line. You see, the way it worked is we'd accumulate profit and then reinvest it for expansion. Accumulate profit, reinvest it for expansion. It was this cycle. And with the expansion came increased liability, right? So I would have increased arbitration, increase commission disputes, honest mistakes from agents, serious mistakes, expensive mistakes, all of which took a lot of time. And we attracted really good agents and really good brokers, but there was this normal churn in the brokerage business. We almost got used to it. It was 2 or 3 good producing agents a year. And when I got the group to focus, when I got my staff, when I got management to focus on recruiting, you know what suffered? Everything else. Production, retention, training. They didn't have the bandwidth. So what do you have to do? You have to hire more staff to cover that deficiency. And we spend our entire careers, right? We spend our careers telling our clients that you have to own in order to create wealth, to build equity. But we're renting our franchises. We're renting our businesses from our franchises, right? So my franchise agreements were 5 years at a time. So every 5 years I have to renew. And since I started these in different years, it was staggered. So every year and a half, 2 years, it was a constant reminder that rent was due and that there was no way out. I even asked these guys, I asked the franchise, I said, guys, can we put everything into one date? So then that way the pain only is just that one time and then I get to wait for 5 years before I feel that pain again. And they said no. They denied me, right? And I was pissed because I know that some of these other operations were granted that request. So that's when I started taking a look around. At that time, before then, I had my blinders on. Didn't matter what you said to me. I didn't hear it, I didn't see it. But then I started to look around. I decided to look around. And I took a look at these different models. I took a look at these different franchises. I didn't really see anything that I liked. EXP wasn't on my radar. So I kept working. I was waiting for a sign. And that sign came to me at Zillow headquarters in Manhattan, a couple blocks away from my office. There was this event they invited me to. I went there, and I bumped into Gil Ramos and Bobby Davidowitz, right? These guys owned a franchise. Gil owned a huge franchise in Florida, right? I'm in New York, he's in Florida. We knew each other from our conventions. And he was one of the speakers at this event, and he let slip that he was transitioning his 125 agent brokerage into EXP. And he ruined the event for me. I didn't hear anything Zillow said, anything they offered. All I could focus on was, what is this guy doing? I need to find out more. I was curious. I asked questions. I did the research. I got the answers. And you know what the crazy thing is? Gil wasn't even part of EXP yet. I think he had an LOI in. Bobby, maybe a few months in. But those guys did exactly the right thing. They put me in front of Gene, Jay, Sheila, Chris. I had these Zoom calls with them. They were pushing me up the ladder. 2 weeks later, I'm in Vegas, high-level mastermind, surrounded by these amazing leaders in real estate. And I'm seeing people that went through the same thing that I went through. That's safe on the other side. And those guys gave me the confidence. They gave me the certainty that this was the right brokerage to move to. And, what happened with my renewals, the first one came due, and they must have forgot I asked. I just didn't sign it. And a month passed, a few months passed, a year passed, a year and a half passed. All of a sudden, my second one came up. And I didn't sign it. So I was like, I have 2 of these guys free now. Maybe this thing could happen. And finally, the franchise gives me a call. And they say, Vincent, you know what? It's time to sign these renewals. I still have over a year on my last one. And I said, maybe... I said, what would it look like if I didn't renew? Give me my options. What happens if, can I wait this last one out? Can I sell this last one? Move my other 2? How much would I have to pay if I decide not to? I was so used to getting these answers from all the people that I spoke to at EXP. Ask a question, get an answer. Ask a question, get an answer. You know what I got from the franchise? That's a really good question. We'll get back to you on that. And I waited. A week passed. 2 weeks passed. Radio silence. Finally, they call this emergency meeting. All of the brokers from New York, except me. I showed up anyway. It was a Zoom meeting, so I listened in. And they said, Vincent Koo is in violation of our franchise agreement. He is promoting another real estate company. Therefore, we're going to terminate his franchise agreement. During that call, 338 emails went out, one to each one of my associates. Your broker has been terminated from this franchise. We urge you to find another location. Man, that was a shock. It was like a smash and grab, you know? It was chaos, complete. And I want you guys to understand, that date of that Zillow meeting and the date of that emergency meeting in New York, 32 days. Did I have any runway to prepare? Yeah. Oh, man. But looking back at it, I'm kind of glad it happened, right? Gave me my freedom, didn't it? But listen, when the dust settled, at that time I only spoke to about 10% of my agents. Okay? I was just gauging interest. I wasn't saying that this is where we need to go, even though I was certain that that was the right place. I haven't made that decision yet. And EXP wasn't even open in Manhattan yet. So when the dust settled, we moved 150 people over to EXP Realty. And we started to build from there. And talking to Gil introduced me to this concept called Henry. You guys ever heard of that before? It was a huge eye-opener for me because I'm like, that is me. High earners, not rich yet. And that's like all of the brokers that I know too. And I know that, we're so concentrated as brokers to feeding the beast of the brokerage. That's why we do what we do, to feed that beast, to keep it going. And I'm excited to be able to help some of my other brokers, get their way out of that. I know that expenses are a function of wealth, right? And I'm happy to say, looking back, it's almost 2 years now, my expenses have decreased by 85%. It's incredible. This stock that EXP gives us, right? So generous with the programs and the awards. And I could see myself accumulating this stock over time. I wasn't a real big stock investor, a big stock trader. I would buy and hold companies that I know, like Amazon and Google and Tesla and Facebook. But with EXP, I was like, okay, I am investing in myself here. Okay? And I'm betting on all of the people that I met at that high-level mastermind. So right when I submitted that LOI, I grabbed a little bit of my savings, and I put it into EXPI stock move. One of the best moves I've made. I am so excited to tell you guys that I have over $1 million in EXPI stock. In my personal account, that's outside of the couple hundred that EXP has gifted and awarded me. Wow. This rev share, right? I really like that analogy. It's like having a multi-million-dollar rental portfolio without the headaches of the tenants. So forget Henry, right? Forget Henry. I'm putting him aside. Access to abundance, access and abundance. I've got everything I need business-wise, right? And how many of you guys have this feeling of abundance now that you're here with EXP? It's amazing. The other day, Dave Kennard reaches out to me on Workplace and is like, hey, I got a $1 million client for you in New York. All right, thanks, right? Curtis Shewell, he from Detroit. Curtis reaches out to me and says, I've got a $20 million seller in New York City for you. We just signed him up. Thank you. It's amazing, the access that we have. I'm healthier now, right? Maybe it's because I eat better, maybe it's because I exercise more, but I'm pretty sure it's because I have less stress, I have less liability, right? And yeah, the rev share, it's just amazing, okay? You know what it is? It's the fun I'm having now. I get to do what I enjoy doing the most. And the biggest thing is that this fun scales as your group scales, right? The freedom scales as your group scales. It wasn't like before. Before it was like the bigger my organization got, the bigger headache I have, the more liability I have. Now I get to have more fun with everybody. So, a couple of tips. We heard this before. Focus on the invites. The invites make people feel special, right? The invites make people feel special. And I had Veronica come to New York one time. She spoke to one of the people that I was speaking with, this team leader. She said, anytime you want, come to Florida, visit my office. I'm going to open my playbook up to you. And, take whatever you want, anytime you want. He never took her up on that. He ended up joining EXP, and he told me, Vincent, that was one of the reasons. Nobody's ever offered me anything like that before. I have an 80 agent team that I'm talking to. The broker says, Vincent, one of your agents invited me to one of your events last year. Of course I didn't come. But I've been watching you guys ever since, and I love what I see. So focus on the invites. Makes people feel special, and it gives you a pipeline of people that feel special, right? My second tip is go out there and shake the tree, and the fruit will fall. We talk to a lot of people, and every once in a while we need to shake that tree. A really good time to do that are the EXP sprints. They're a good reminder. Coming up to the second sprint, I called Carlos, and I said, Carlos, help me out. I need a plan. I don't have anybody set up to sign up. And he says, go out there and shake the tree. So all I did was I reached out. I called to all the people that I spoke to before, and that's what helped me qualify for my second EXP sprint, right? So do that. Meet weekly with your group. So important. Get around people that are, want to do the same thing that you're doing. And I don't care what it is, Motivation Mondays or Taco Tuesdays or Wealth Wednesdays or Freedom Fridays, whatever you want to call it, just do it, right? And if you don't want to set it up yourself, there's groups in workplace that have it. EXP Family Tree, wow, what an amazing group. But you get together and you mastermind with these people. You figure out what's working, what's not working. You go out there and you find somebody that's doing it and you rip off and duplicate what they're doing. That's all you have to do. But it makes it top of mind, doesn't it? And the last things, the 7 skills for agent attraction. I think it's so important to kind of just break these down, right? The first skill of agent attraction is going out there and finding prospects. Second skill is inviting. Third skill is presenting. Fourth, follow-up. Fifth, closing. 6, onboarding. And 7, promoting events. Guys, take a look at what you're good at and go out there and help somebody else. Whatever you're not so good at, seek help. The key is to just get better at each of these skills, right? A lot of these things are really basic, but John Cheplack, he says small hinges swing big doors. So go out there, get really good at the basics. We're here to show these franchises. We're here to show these brokerages. We're here to show these agents that it's safe on this side. We're here to give them the confidence. We're here to give them the certainty that this is the right move for them. So what I want you guys to do is just go out there, go forth, and multiply. That's it. Thank you.
Really good, really good. Thank you.